Welcome back to Black News Tonight. Mike Hill filling in for Mark Lamont Hill this week. According to a new report, there is not one single state, one city or county in the United States where someone working full-time at minimum wage can afford a two-bedroom apartment, y'all. This is just sad. The National Low Income Housing Coalition's annual Out of Reach report had this to put out, delivered some grim numbers. For example, in the state of Georgia, to rent a two-bedroom apartment, you need to make almost $20 an hour, or if you're in California and get this, you better earn a wage of at least $39 an hour. And that's just to keep a roof over your head. Overall, in 93% of U.S. counties, a minimum wage worker can't even afford renting a one-bedroom home. Wow. Joining me now to talk about this is Saru Jayaraman. She's the president of the One Fair Wage and the director of Food Labor Research Center at the University of California, Berkeley. Saru, thank you so much for joining me here tonight. Wish it was under better circumstances. This is absolutely terrible. I mean, look, we're blessed and we can afford these things, but we're talking about a large portion of this country. You go to work, come home to relax, and now many can't go to work and come back home because they can't afford their home. How bad is this?
This is so bad that it is 31 years overdue. Listen, this problem is because rents have continued to rise in the United States while the minimum wage in this country has been ridiculously stagnated. The overall minimum wage for all workers in the U.S. is $7.25, hasn't gone up in a dozen years, in 12 years. And there's a sub-minimum wage for tipped workers. You know, the restaurant industry is the largest employer of minimum wage workers. They get to pay even less because of an exception to the law that actually is a direct legacy of slavery that allows them to pay $2.13 an hour. That wage hasn't gone up in 31 years. So you're talking about rents continuing to rise while the minimum wage and the sub-minimum wage has stayed frozen for decades. And it's no surprise, therefore, that workers cannot afford to pay the rent, can't afford to put food on their families' tables, can't afford to survive. And we have to understand the very racialized nature of this issue, because the history of the sub-minimum wage is traced directly to emancipation, when the restaurant industry didn't want to pay Black people after emancipation, changed tipping from being an extra or bonus on top of a wage to becoming the wage itself. And we went from a $0 wage at emancipation to $2.13 today, a $2 increase over 150 years, impacting largely communities of color, women of color. It's so long overdue. It's 150 years overdue.
Wow. It's like people got, I mean, for the longest, this country got free labor, obviously, due to slavery.
Right.
And then basically afterwards, you're still getting really much free labor, except, oh, we got to pay you something, so we're going to give you something here. Here's the thing, because people have been talking about this, President Biden administration, they want to up the minimum wage to $15 an hour across the nation. How will that help? Because there are a lot of people saying, oh, you raise it $15 an hour, that's going to kill a lot of those small businesses out there. How will this help if they can get that done?
First of all, raising the wage to 15 and ending the sub-minimum wage for tipped workers would lift almost 30 million workers' raises and lift 1 million workers, most of whom are people of color and women, out of poverty. And that's just the workers. There are millions more of their families, children, spouses, elderly people who rely on those workers' wages. It will allow those workers to maybe work 1 or 2 jobs as opposed to 3 and 4 jobs to make ends meet. It would allow them to actually have a home, as you're saying, put food on the table, allow their children to eat enough to concentrate in school. But beyond all of that, it will also allow our economy to recover, because here's the bottom line. No business in this country will be able to survive if workers can't afford to consume, can't afford to spend. And that is why the states that have the highest wages, California is already $15 for everybody, including tipped workers, with tips on top. And we actually have the largest and fastest growing restaurant industry in the country with the fastest small business growth rates. So the opposite is actually true. The states with the highest wages have the greatest small business growth. Why? Because people in those states can afford to eat out. They can afford to consume. It's common sense.
You got to pay people. I mean, like, the trickle down economics proven they don't work, right? You know, and I'm not in anybody's pockets. Billionaires can be billionaires. I know the top 1%, but when I see Jeff Bezos and I see Richard Branson going out of space and then I see people starving, I'm a little concerned, right? And I have a right to be if you got a heart, right? So who's behind this? I mean, because you made some good points there. Like, if you do this, the nation becomes better. So who's stopping this from happening?
It's the National Restaurant Association. We call it the other NRA. Most people don't even know it exists, but it's the most powerful trade lobby stopping the minimum wage in the United States. It's driven by the chains, the IHOPs, the Denny's, the Olive Gardens. It's been around for more than a century. It is the group that wanted to hire Black people after emancipation, pay them nothing, and that has continued over the last 150 years to fight against any kind of increases for workers in the restaurant industry and beyond. And listen, this has resulted, I'm right now, it's like chickens coming home to roost, because all of these workers who've been told for so long, listen, if you don't like it, go find something better. Guess what? They're doing that. Millions of workers are leaving these low-wage jobs, going on to something else. And restaurants and other low-wage sectors are finding they can't actually fully reopen because they don't have enough workers who want to work for these wages anymore. And they're saying, oh, it's unemployment insurance. They're staying home collecting benefits, when in fact, a lot of these folks never got unemployment insurance. They're just not willing to work for these wages anymore.
Why are you going to work when you're basically giving it away and you're still not living your life there?
That's right.
So look, your organization is doing great work. What more can we do? I mean, and first of all, how does this organization have so much power? And how can we take some of that power away? What can we do? I know your organization is doing a lot, but what more can we do to make sure that this is alleviated, and then we can get people in 1-2 bedroom homes, nice homes, to be able to afford them?
We need everybody, workers, employers, small business restaurant owners and small business owners and consumers, to all come together and say, we need this. As small businesses, we need this so that everybody can actually shop, can eat out in our businesses. As consumers, we need this so we can actually enjoy the restaurant industry and service sector we had prior to the pandemic. Listen, 53% of restaurant workers are saying they're leaving the industry due to low wages and tips. That's half of the workers. So we basically have two choices. Either we have half the industry, half the Friday night date nights, half the Sunday brunches, or we raise the wage. And so we need everybody to come together and demand that their elected officials listen to the people, not to the National Restaurant Association.
Well, sometimes those national restaurants associations, those big interest groups, they got the right amount of money to put in politicians' pockets. You know what I mean? So, but we control the politicians and their job status. So once again, the voting part is important. It's all tied in together, right? Take the voting rights away.
That's right.
You know, it's all together. So thank you so much, and thank you for what you're doing. We appreciate your insightful comments, and we're going to work it out. We're going to make it better for everybody here in this nation. All right?
I'm gonna do it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a good weekend. Let us know what you're thinking. Hit us up on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all the social media sites at BNC News. We got to talk about this. We got to do a better job. Power of the people. We're strong when we work together. So if you make your voice be heard, especially on social media, that is going to make a difference, everybody.